So part of using sociology is looking at everything groups and cultures do in a new way, different than a way that we are used to, and sometimes this can be challenging. So let's start with the simple stuff first. What is a perspective? The simple definition of a perspective, it's really just looking at something differently. And so let's take an example of how we can look at something differently.
I'd like to talk a little bit about baseball and football. Starting with baseball. Baseball is different from any other sport in a lot of different little ways. For instance, in most sports, you score points or you score goals. In baseball, you score runs. In most sports, the ball or the object is put in play by the offensive team. In baseball, the defense puts the ball in play, and only the defensive team is allowed to touch the ball. In fact, in baseball, if an offensive player touches the ball intentionally, he's out. Also, most sports, the team is run by a coach. In baseball, the team is run by a manager. And only in baseball does the manager or the coach have to wear the same uniform the players do. Can you picture Bill Parcells in his New York Giants uniform? Now, baseball and football are different from one another in other kind of interesting ways, I think. First of all, baseball is a 19th century pastoral game. Football is a 20th century technological struggle. Baseball is played on a diamond, in a park, the baseball park. Football is played on a gridiron in a stadium, sometimes called Soldier Field or War Memorial Stadium. Baseball begins in the spring, the season of new life. Football begins in the fall, when everything is dying. In football, you wear a helmet. In baseball, you wear a cap. Football is concerned with downs. What down is it? Baseball is concerned with ups. Who's up? Are you up? I'm not up. He's up. In football, the specialist comes in to kick. In baseball, the specialist comes in to relieve someone. In football, you receive a penalty. In baseball, you make an error. Whoops. Football has hitting, clipping, spearing, blocking, piling on, late hitting, unnecessary roughness, and personal fouls. Baseball has the sacrifice. Football is played in any kind of weather. Rain, sleet, snow, hail, mud. Can't read the numbers on the field, can't read the yard markers, can't read the players' numbers. The struggle will continue. In baseball, if it rains, we don't come out to play. I can't come out to play. It's raining out. Baseball has a 7th inning stretch. Football has the 2-minute warning. Baseball has no time limit. We don't know when it's going to end. We might have extra innings. Football is rigidly timed, and it will end even if we have to go to sudden death. In baseball, during the game in the stands, there's kind of a picnic feeling. Emotions may run high or low, but there's not that much unpleasantness. In football, in the stands during the game, you can be sure that at least 27 times you were perfectly capable of taking the life of a fellow human being. Preferably a stranger. And finally, the objectives of the two games are totally different. In football, the object is for the quarterback, otherwise known as the field general, to be on target with his aerial assault, riddling the defense by hitting his receivers with deadly accuracy, in spite of the blitz, even if he has to use the shotgun. With short bullet passes and long bombs, he marches his troops into enemy territory, balancing this aerial assault with a sustained ground attack which punches holes in the forward wall of the enemy's defensive line. In baseball, the object is to go home and to be safe. I hope I'll be safe at home. Safe at home.
So in sociology, sociologists use one of three perspectives in order to understand or examine social behavior. Functionalists believe that society is a stable, orderly system, and everything in it serves a purpose. Everything within a society works together to maintain this stable and orderly system. And there's three different types of functions. You have manifest functions, which would be the intended consequence, a latent function, which would be an unintended consequence, and a dysfunction that would be considered a negative consequence. So let's take license plates as an example. The manifest function, or the intended consequence of a license plate, was so that we can track vehicle registrations. A latent function might be that people use license plates to express themselves in some way. And a dysfunction might be that sometimes people steal license plates when they are trying to get away with stealing a vehicle. The conflict perspective is always concerned with who has the power and how they show that power and how they try to maintain their power over time over the people who do not have the power. So conflict perspective sociologists are constantly asking questions like, who has the power? How do they show that power? Is there any way for there to be a shift in power? If some kind of change is made, who stands to benefit from that? So if we take the example of license plates again, the state makes car owners and renters have plates to keep track of us. That shows us the power of the state. Also, if you have some kind of higher economic power, you could obtain personalized plates because those cost more to have. And the third and final perspective is the symbolic interactionist perspective. And basically the symbolic interactionist perspective basically says that every interaction or conversation or anytime two people connect has both a surface meaning and then a deeper, more symbolic meaning, meaning that there's something else that's being referred to there. And our job in society is to figure out the roles that we and others play and what those roles mean. So if we take the example of license plates, every single car is supposed to have one. If we have a generic one that's created by the state, we're simply illustrating our conformity to the role of auto owner or renter. If we have a personalized plate style, we're symbolically communicating our support of whatever cause the plate is showing the world, or that our plate has a unique letter or number combination that spells something out that sends a symbolic message about who we are and that we're rich enough or clever enough to have this special plate.